Welcome back to TommyBoxing, and we got to talk about what's going on with Zuffa Boxing right now. The Jai situation, what's really next for them. Like, there's so much I want to divulge into, and I really do want to give my opinion on why I don't think it's going to be all as Dana says it's going to be. Truthfully, I truly do believe it. So, obviously, Dana White has started his own boxing promotion company. He's 5 shows in right now. One of them has been a championship, one for the Zuffa belt, then the IBF and Ring Magazine belt were on the line for unification. But yeah, and Dana's been like really with Eddie. Him and Eddie have been going back and forth, but he's been calling out boxing since day one, saying how boxing's ran right now is a joke, like beating babies and all this crazy stuff. He's been really going at Eddie, calling him a pussy. Dana's had this bravado, and he's showing this energy, and he has the passion. I'm not going to take away that from him at all. I'm not going to say he's not passionate about his new project. He is absolutely passionate and really full throttle with Zuffa Boxing. I think with the Paramount is a huge deal, and I think that's really, really amazing. $8 a month to get 4 fights a month right now, 3-4 fights a month for $8, and then plus UFC, so you're really getting 8 fights a month for $8. You're paying $1 a fight. On that aspect, absolutely, Dana has the best deal for like a promotion wise, and also for the consumer. Then he just recently signed a deal with Sky Sports to be in the UK and Ireland. Another great step in the direction that he's trying to build, go really global with it, and I know Zuffa is in its infancy phase. I know that. I'm not going to say, oh, it's not going to be big. I think it's going to be big, but I don't think it's going to be big anytime soon. I give it a couple years, but I'll get into my prediction really later on. What I really want to start at, and this is what it really started for me to really give my opinion a little more weight, a little more foundation to it, was the whole Jai Apataya situation. So we, like I said earlier, it was supposed to be the unification, IBF, Ring Magazine, then the Zuffa belt. They were fighting for that. And IBF, last minute, they said no. Then they said, yes, we'll be a part of it. Then last minute, they said no. They pulled out 2 days before, and then they stripped Jai of it. And I think that was dirty on them. Jai did pay the sanctioning fees, and then it was per Dana White. I don't know how true this is, but they took their $200 per diem and then flew back. And Jai's really upset about the situation. He feels like he got played by a billion different things. I assume mainly by the IBF, and absolutely, to an extent, he did. I'm going to side with Jai a little bit here. He definitely did get played by the IBF because they said no initially, then they said yes, and then the last second they pulled the rug out of everyone and said, actually, no, we're not a part of this event, we're not part of Zuffa, we don't, whatever their bullshit reason was, which I think it is pretty bullshit to do that to a fighter who's shown love and fought for that belt a million times. So I think they did Jai really dirty there. But this is where I beg a differ, was Jai can be upset, absolutely, whatever, you can feel however you want to feel about the situation, but you can't be that mad that they did it, because in a way you've put yourself in this situation. I mean, like, would the IBF do this with any other promotion? No, because Dana said he does not care about these sanctioning bodies. He doesn't give a shit about them. Those belts don't mean anything. They're a joke. They're janky. They're rinky dinky, as he said. Like, he is like never said anything positive about them, but he's like, yeah, but we're gonna make sure Jai can be unified. So like, this is why it's happening. They're sanctioning bodies, IBF being one of them, was tired of Dana talking consistently down upon them, and Jai had to be the one who take the bullet. Does it mess with Dana? Yeah, he's like, damn, I'm trying to look out for Jai, but at the same time, Jai can't be upset. He knew what he was signing on to. He said he wanted to be undisputed, and even though Dana said he wants to make it happen, how much can he make it happen if he shits on the sanctioning bodies the whole time, and then when it's time to get to the table and start making deals and negotiations are starting, the sanctioning bodies are going to be a little more hesitant, a little more aggressive and annoying and a burden and stressful when push comes to shove to these deals. And you can't be mad at anyone here. Like, you can be mad at Dana. Jai can't be mad. Yeah, you can blame the IBF, you can blame Dana, you can blame Jai. Like, everyone has blame here, but no one's innocent. You know what I mean? No one's a victim. This is what I'm trying to say. That's a better way to say it. No one's a victim here. Jai knew when he signed that contract what type of war he was walking into and what type of uphill battle it was gonna be to become undisputed and just be a part of Zuffa in general. So I don't feel bad. And then for Dana, was like, he dragged all these sanctioning bodies through the mud. And then he's like, well, I want to work with some of them. It's a case-by-case basis and blah, blah, blah. Then he's like, oh, how could they do this? And then the IBF was like, you just talk shit about us and all the other sanctioning bodies. We're riding with the sanctioning bodies over here. I'm gonna do you dirty like how you've been talking us down. I'm gonna take your money, even though it's like $200. I'm gonna take everyone's money here, and I'm gonna dip and say, nah. They should definitely refund Jai's sanctioning fees, without a doubt. The per diem, who really cares? The sanctioning fees, they should definitely refund, because that's dirty. I'll agree with that. If he's not fighting for the belt, they should refund that sanctioning body fee. That I agree with. That is the only caveat I'll agree with 100%. You need to refund that. That's the right thing to do. It's like going to the store and returning an item you didn't want, and then they don't give the money back. You just gave them the item for free. That is what kind of sparked this whole conversation with me. I've had my skepticism about Zuffa from day one, but there was no evidence. There was nothing to discuss yet, because it just came out. There was all hearsay, opinions based off the UFC a little bit, which I still do have. Like, it's pretty easy to kind of see the comparison right now, and I'll dive into that. There was nothing yet, and now there's 5 fights in, and now I'm able to talk about it. I'm able to talk about it a little more, and I can really have a little more of an opinion. Granted, it's 5 fights in. I really want to see where they're at the end of the year, and we'll circle back. We'll do check-ins every now and then with the Zuffa. Honestly, I think it's something I'm very interested in. I really want to see what he's gonna do different with Dana's Zuffa boxing. It is so obvious to me that they're trying to make it into the UFC with the controlled uniforms of both fighters and the coaches, even fighters who don't have glove deals, and we'll get into that. They have to fight in Zuffa gloves, all this stuff. And Dana is really, really trying to control boxing, but it's a very, again, uphill battle. I think it is, in a way, an impossible task to try to control boxing how it is. You have to take fighters, and I think this is what he's doing, and it's pretty obvious. He's taking fighters who don't have weight to their name and then putting them under Zuffa, because that is a big platform. If you go on Zuffa, you're on Paramount, it's $8 a month. People are watching. They're doing pretty good with the promotions and socials and everything like that. I'm not taking away the promotion aspect and marketing. They're doing great with that. But then once you build some momentum, you're in there, and then that becomes a whole problem. And this is where I get a little stressed. Dana's spinning a narrative. Like, Dana said this in Jai's post-fight press conference. No other promotion's doing what he's doing this year. He already has 5 events that have come out, and no one's even have that, which isn't true. At the time of this recording, so as of the 21st, Matchroom has 7 events. Queensberry has 4. Top Rank, they only have had 1 event so far, but that's just because the whole emptiness of what was going on, the whole void of Top Rank's TV deal, they just struck it with the zone, so we're definitely going to see more consistency for them. They're definitely going to be playing catch up. So, Golden Boys had 2 events. They did have a co-promotion with Ryan and Barrios, so you can count that as 3. I'm really not trying to include the co-promotions, because it's really the Ring Magazine running those events, and then the reason the other promotions are on there is because their fighters are on there. They're not really running the event, so I don't want to count that, because that's not fair. I wouldn't count the Ring's fight with Tyson Fury as a Zuffa fight. It's a co-promotion, but it's not the sole promoter. You know what I mean? So I want to be fair. So he's saying oh, look, they're not competing. And honestly, a lot of these other fights of these events, yeah, Queensberry had 4 events, but how many names can you recognize? In these events, I recognized one event. The only one I really recognized was the Callum Walsh one and the Jai Optaia. The other names I really didn't recognize from the main events from Zuffa. So let's just look at it so far. We got right here, we have Cabell and Kaniba. And then I wasn't able to watch this fight. I was really sad. Nick Ball versus Figueroa. Then we have Cooper and Ursu. I didn't really recognize that one that much. So then this weekend, they have Moses Atama. And then later on this year, they have Wardley Dubois. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, I'm so excited for that fight. But that's just Queensberry alone. Matchroom has been killing it. Matchroom came out swinging this year. We'll go through the list. Muratalla versus Cruz. Then you have Murtazaila versus Kelly. That was Josh Kelly. Are you kidding me? Medina versus Kyrgios. This one was the most talked about. Navarrete versus Nunez. Are you kidding me? A couple of the ones we have coming. You got, Sky Nicholson versus Turner. That's going to be a big one. I'm excited for that. You got Jarrell Miller coming out. Then you got Smith versus Morrell. Oh, I'm hyped for that event. Adames versus Williams. That's a big. The point I'm trying to make is the events that Zuffa and Dana White are putting on aren't the world's biggest events. Same thing with Matchroom and some of Queensberry's fights. They're not the world's biggest events. But if you take the names of each main event and the people that are advertising, Queensberry and Matchroom definitely have the more weight to them versus Zuffa. So yeah, he's put on more events, but they're all UFC fight nights, or stuff you could put on casually. So when he did say, oh, oh, what are these other promotions doing? What are you doing? You know what I mean? So like the weight isn't there. You can't say like, oh, what are the other I've done 5 events. Matchroom's already beat you. Queensberry is right there. Top Rank didn't have a TV deal, and Golden Boys, I don't know what the hell Golden Boys do. They signed a deal with something called Swerve TV, which is like, I don't know, a sports Tubi. I don't know what the hell they're doing. So, and then in that same post-fight presser, he did subliminally state his goal for Zuffa is to be the middle class for boxing. And how I took that was he wants to equalize fighter pay. People, the likes of Conor Benn, Jai Prataya, they're the false prophets, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm using that term wrong. I don't know. But they're the bait for people to sign. It's like, look I paid Conor Benn 10-15 million. You could make that. You could possibly at some point make that. I paid Jai this much. Like they're saying, look this guy. You can be like this. We can do this with you. Da 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 da. Just not yet. We got to build you up. But we've seen it time and time again. We're seeing it right now with the UFC. Conor's complaining. Oh, John Jones is so done. You hear these people consistently complain that like it's either I get froze out, I can't do anything outside of the UFC, or they put me on a show because I don't want to fight this person. I want to do that. Like it's crazy. Like they're screwing over Conor McGregor. They're like, actually, you can't get the fights that you want, but you're stuck in this contract. So this is the same thing that's going to be happening with Zuffa. Is when he said he wants to build the middle class, he's going to bring on, which is yes, initially for no-name, lower-level prospect fighters who don't really have good momentum. This is a fantastic time, but this is where they get you. Those first few fights, yeah, absolutely. I understand how much Dana's paying these boxers, whatever it is, 10, 15, 20K. But what's going to happen is the same thing with the UFC is now there's no Muhammad Ali Act. This is the reformed version, and they're going to go into the same conundrum. Was like, what felt like a lot of money, now you know your worth and how much you've done for the promotion and the sport. Now it's negotiation time, and you want to get out of your contract, but you got 3 more fights, and I guarantee you these guys are not 2-fight deals. They're on 6 to 8 fight deal, 3 to 4 times a year. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you each fighter is on a 6 to 8 fight deal, fighting multiple times a year. Fair enough. Dana wants his money back. He wants to make back the money he put for them. So long term, in the short term, it's great for these fighters. It's a win-win. Dana gets to build his Zuffa roster up, and these fighters get more money that they're used to. But long term, we're going to see the same shit that UFC is doing right now. But this is the time, and these boxers can learn from this. The UFC fighters didn't do was unionize. Pretty much all these boxers should do once the momentum is there. The momentum isn't there yet. So I'm in agreement with Dana. Why would I pay a newcomer 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, even 100K per fight when I'm losing on the money? Granted, they have $7.7 billion. But whatever. Like I understand from a business standpoint to an extent. But long term, if the fighters don't speak up, Dana's going to do the same shit he did in the UFC. Tough shit. I run this now. This is you can go somewhere else. And they can't. Dana's like, you can go somewhere else, but he's frozen them. You can't get out of your contract. So it's going to be the same pay structure as the UFC long term, and you're going to see the same question that every interviewer is going to ask, a few years down the line. What about fighter pay? What about fighter pay? So I'm telling you, every fighter who's on like the roster right now, when you see the momentum coming, call him out. Unionize, get together, band together. There's literally every other promotion out there that will sign you, and you don't have to worry about this type of stuff. All right. So, but yeah, my overall thoughts and prediction on what's next and what's going to happen in the next coming years with Zuffa is I don't think they're going to be an actual threat this year or even next year. I think the first 2 years are foundation. They're building. They still haven't even got out of the apex yet. It's going to be a slow burn. It's going to be taking a little while, and they'll probably do some great co-promotions with The Ring Magazine because Turkey's really, really on Zuffa right now. But again, Turkey could be like, actually, I'm bored. I'm going to go over here. And this is a big thing I really, really hate. Their goal is to completely take out all the culture and self-expression that is in boxing and make it as bland and controlled as the UFC with the apparel and then gear. When I talked about the gloves earlier, like you see all these fighters with Grants, Rivals, Everlast, whatever, you name it. But if you don't have a glove deal, if you're not contractually obligated, you have to wear the Zuffa gloves. And that's what's happening. If you don't have a glove deal, you're wearing the Zuffa gloves. I don't give a shit. Like that's what Dana said. I don't give a shit if you have a preference for your hands, XYZ. You're wearing these gloves. But this is where it's going to get tricky. So Dana signed these fighters like, whatever, they have their glove deal. But I guarantee you in that contract, you had to say you cannot renew your glove deal with XYZ. Because we see with the shorts, it's just their name and then color. It's either a black pair of shorts or white pair of shorts, a blue pair of shorts. Like, there's really nothing there. And then it's really, oh my God, I just realized it's this gray with Zuffa on it. And like, that's it. And I guarantee you in the near future, I guarantee you probably the end of the year, Q3, Q4, is when we're going to see all of the fighters wearing the same shoes. Again, if they're not contractually obligated to wear a certain brand when they signed. So I think it's going to be the same idea as the glove deal. UFC has the Reebok deal, so maybe it's going to be only the Reebok shoes, or maybe just Everlast shoes, or I don't know, a Zuffa branded shoe. I see it happening. I might sound crazy, but come back to this in a year or two and I think it's possible. And I really do see that all of these sanctioning bodies, WBC, IBF, WBO, WBA, you name it, minus the reign, they're going to give Zuffa and Dana constant problems. That is not going to change. What we saw with the IBF last week, they're going to continue to do that. They're not going to stop badgering, pestering, pissing off Dana in any way they can just to get the one up on him. I guarantee that's going to happen. It's a shame a little bit. I'll give it. It's a shame to an extent. But Dana called them out. The fighters who signed but want all these world championship belts, you signed with Zuffa, even though the guy who runs it is like, fuck these other belts, and that's why they're shooting back. So it sucks for the fighters, really. But I can't feel bad for the fighters because you knew what you were signing up for. And Eddie, with his talent agency, I do believe that he's going to give Dana long-term problems when he continues to sign MMA fighters. And he's going to get a really, really good inside look at the contracts and how he's operating. And then I think unofficially, off the record, he's gonna, be like, all right, well, now we know how he operates in the MMA and the UFC. These contracts can't be that different because he's like, I'm building the UFC into boxing. So I think he's gonna be doing that. I think, I could be wrong, let me know in the comments, guys, but I think he might even sign some Zuffa fighters because technically they're not under the original Ali Act, right? They're under the reformed one. So I could be wrong about that, but I think, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure with the Reform Ali Act that's under Zuffa, I'm pretty sure Eddie can sign as their manager. If I'm correct. If I'm mistaken, let me know in the comment section below. To kind of sum all this up, I think Zuffa Boxing is good for the short term. I think it's really good for upcoming fighters to get their name out there, get some money in their pockets, really start getting some momentum. But if they don't come together and unionize down the road and be like, oh, I'm getting this money, why would I mess it up? It's going to come a day when they want to get big name fights, like a Jake Paul, a Canelo, like whatever's the biggest payday, and Dana's not going to let them go to Matchroom or Queensberry. You're not going to be able to do these cross promotions or get these big money paydays or whatever you want to do because you're stuck under the Zuffa umbrella, and he's not going to allow you to move anywhere unless it's fully Zuffa. So I'm saying now, if these fighters don't speak up once it really gets going, it's going to be a very, very hard time for them to ever have the advantage. I really want to see what they're going to do in the long term because I don't know how good it's going to be for fighters. How much is it going to be good for you? Because if you're stuck with only that pay that they give you, you can't have sponsorships. You can't have any gloves or brand deals with the gear you wear at all. Your corner can't have anything on that isn't Zuffa Boxing. Like, they even have Zuffa water bottles, which I thought was insane. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so excessive, and I don't like it. And yeah, you got bonuses and stuff like that, but you can't incentivize like, oh, you can get a bonus. Well, they could have gotten the bonus or blah blah blah. I'm gonna stop here before I ramble on too much. I think I've hit all of the points that I really wanted to touch on with you guys. Go ahead, let me know in the comment section below what you think about Zuffa Boxing, where I was wrong and where I was right. I would love to talk about it. I think this was a really, really in-depth, well talked about video about Zuffa and its whole and what's next and what could happen and what I think is most likely gonna happen. But who knows? I could be absolutely right or wrong. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one.